Hello everyone, in this video I will go over my solution to the problem named Queries for Number of Palindromes. This problem is taken from an old ICPC style Codeforces round and is rated 1800. In this problem we need to use two DP tables, although one DP table is like a helper function and the other is the main function. So let's look at the problem statement. In this problem we are given a string S with indices 1 to the length of the string S, and we need to answer Q queries. Each query is defined by the form li, ri, and we need to output the number of palindromes from the range li to ri. So we need to output the number of strings in the range li to ri, which are palindromes. So in the sample test case, we are given a string of length 6 and 5 queries. So the string is C, A, B, A, and the 5 queries are 1, 1, 1, 4, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 4, 5. So in the first query, the only substring of from index 1 to 1, which is a palindrome, is C. Then from 1 to 4, the palindromic substrings are C, A, AA, and AAA. And similarly, you can see for the rest of the queries, the palindromic substrings and the number of such substrings. So in the final output, the answer would just be 1, 7, 3, 4, and 2. And you can verify that this is the correct output. So if you look at the constraints carefully, you will see that the length of the string can be up to 5000, but the number of queries can be up to 10 to the 6. So that means that we should pre-compute the answer for all LI. So that's the first idea. To pre-compute answer of LR to be the number of palindromic substrings in the range L to R for all LR. So hence we can answer all the queries in O of 1 by just accessing answer of L of R. So hence the pre-processing time will be O of n square, and each query will take O of 1 time, and hence the total number of operations will be will be 5000 squared plus 10 to the 6, which works in 1 second, and the time limit is actually 5 seconds, so this is definitely going to work. So now let's think about how we would pre-compute answer of L and R. So let's realize that we also need to find answer of L of R in O of 1 time, since there are 5000 squared values for which we need to find the answer of L of R. So that's another thing which we can keep in mind. So let's use dynamic programming to compute answer of L and R. So let's use DP to compute answer of L and R. So the key thing to realize is that if we have a string, so let's look at the sample. Let's look at the string from the sample test case: C, AAA, B, and A. And let's say we are trying to find answer of 1 to 4, and assuming 1 based indexing. So let's just say that we are using 1 based indexing now. So we are trying to compute answer of 1 of 4. So the key thing to realize is that 1 to 4 is not a palindrome. The substring 1 to 4 is not a palindrome, and hence we need to count answer of 1 to 3 and the answer from 2 to 4. This is because we know that a palindromic substring won't have the endpoints at 1 and 4, and hence the endpoints should be 1 to 3 or 2 to 4. However, in this case, we are double counting. We are double counting answer of 2 of 3. So let's see why this is true. So when we are trying to compute answer of 1 of 4, as we could see, this was 7, and I've written down the 7 substrings above here. And now let's try and calculate answer of 1 of 3 and answer of 2 and 4. So when we are computing answer of 1 of 3, that would correspond to C, A from the second position, A from the third position, A from the second and third position, which is 4. Answer of 2 of 4 would be A, 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 then double A, and then triple A. And you can see that we also need to count the multiple occurrences of the same string, because the same string can occur at many different indices, so we are supposed to count them as different cases in our final output. So the length of the number of such things would be 6, and then once we are, the main thing is that we are double counting answer of 2 of 3. So let's see what the value of answer of 2 of 3 is. That's A, and A, which is 3. And as you can see that 4 plus 6 minus 3, which is 7, is the correct value of answer of 1 of 4. And let's try and generalize this idea. So in the general case, when we are computing answer of L and R, answer from L to R, that would just be answer of L plus 1 to R of L to R minus 1, and minus answer of L plus 1 to R minus 1. And the general reason why this is correct is the same idea, because we count the number of palindromic substrings from L plus 1 to R, add that to L to R minus 1, and subtract the double counting of L plus 1 to R minus 1. And this is also known as principle of inclusion and exclusion, which is basically you're subtracting out principle of inclusion and exclusion, you're removing the double count. So this is what we define as our DP state, answer of L and R. And let's initialize some base cases. So in the base case, answer of L to R is 1 if L to R is a palindrome. So let's go back to the beginning why we are doing this. So in the first thing I said that if the substring 1 to 4 is not a palindrome, then we need to consider the endpoints to be from 1 to 3 and from 2 to 4. But if it is a palindrome, then there would be only one, because there is only one substring which has endpoints at L and R, and hence we need to count that substring. Count that as the first palindromic substring. Otherwise, the base case would be answer of L and R is 0. So these two things are our base case. This is our base case. And the recursive case is what I've written above. So I'll just rewrite it down for clarity. So in the recursive case, we would just have answer of L and R is answer of L plus 1 to R plus answer of L to R minus 1, and we would subtract out the double counting of when the endpoints were at L plus 1 and the right endpoint was at R minus 1. So that's all we need in our DP state and our DP transition. The key question is, how do we check if a substring from L to R is a palindrome efficiently? So that is in O of 1 while we are computing answer of L and R. So the key observation in how we would check if a substring from L to R is a palindrome in O of 1 is the following. So let's define, so the key idea is we would define palindrome is palindrome. So let's just have a table is palindrome of L of R recursively. So this is our helper DP function. So let's just try to write out the cases recursively. So in the base case, we would have is palindrome of I to be 1 because the substring of length 1 is a palindrome. And the key thing to realize recursively is that, let's say that this was our palindrome. So this is our palindrome, and what you would realize if you analyze the palindrome carefully is that the first and the last characters are equal and the remaining part is a palindrome. So that's all, which is the main idea behind this function is palindrome of L of R is palindrome of L plus 1 of R minus 1 and S of L equal to S of R. So that's how we would write our is palindrome function recursively. So this is the whole solution basically. So we compute is palindrome of L to R for all L comma R, and then use this to find the base case for answer of L to R, and then apply the answer of L to R a recursive case in the normal way. So let's just code this solution up. So first let's take in a string S of length n, and let's compute two DP tables is palindrome and answer of L to R. And so is palindrome, we would use a 2D Boolean array, and over here, or vector in this case, use a 2D Boolean vector, and over here we use a 2D integer vector. So when we are computing our is palindrome, we notice that is palindrome of I was just 1 because that's our base case, so we would just continue after that. Otherwise, we would do if S of I is not equal to S of j, then is palindrome of I of j will be 0 because the first and last elements in the substring of a palindrome should be equal. So that's taken care of in that line of code. Otherwise, we would set is palindrome of I of j to be if I plus 1 to j minus 1 is a palindrome, and that's what we had defined over here recursively. And two things to note over here is that First of all, we loop from I goes from n to 1 because for the state I comma j we need to know the value of I plus 1 comma j minus 1. That's why we need to loop I from n to 1, and we need to loop j from 1 to n because again we need j minus 1 before we access j. So that's the first point which I want to make. The second point which I want to make is that we need to initially declare is of I of j to be true, and this is because when we are this is just a simplicity. This is to simplify our code a bit, because when we are doing is of I plus 1 of j minus 1, it could be that I plus 1 is greater than j minus 1, and this implies that we would get the incorrect value of false when actually it is true, and actually is ij is true. And hence we could just simplify this by setting all values to true initially and taking care of the false case and making sure that the values are set to false appropriately. And another way to do that would be is to check if I plus 1 is greater than j minus 1 and then set uh, is of ij to be true, but that would require extra lines of code, so I'm not doing that. And so this is our pre-computation of is palindrome ij is done for all I less than or equal to j. And now let's write our answer of I of j. So answer of I of j is actually written quite similarly. Again, if I is j, then answer of I of j would just be 1, and this is because s of I would be the only palindromic substring. Otherwise, yeah, so we basically did a continue, and then we would set answer of I of j to be is of I of j, which is basically 1 or 0 depending on whether or not I to j is a palindrome. Then we would set answer of ij. We would increment answer of ij by answer of I plus 1j plus answer of I of j minus 1, and we would subtract out the double count of answer of I plus 1 of j minus 1. So that's all that all our answers have been computed. So pre-computation of answer of ij is done for all I less than or equal to j. And one additional thing to note over here is that the string is zero-based indexing. So that would create a problem wherever we index s of I and s of j. So to make sure that an index out of bounds is not happening, or an exception is not being thrown, then we would need to do I minus 1 of j minus 1 to make sure that for converting one based indexing to zero based indexing. So our all our values, all our answers have been pre-computed. So let's just see in the number of queries, and let's just take in L and R, and let's just output answer of L to R. So I'll just run this code to see that it works on the sample test case which I've written here, and the expected result would be 17342. and that is correct. That's the correct output. So let's just submit the code to see that it gets accepted. So as you could see, the code got accepted. Now few things which I want to say is that my other code got a memory limit exceeded because I used a vector int and a vector long, and that would take too much space. Instead of using integers and longs, I in my new code I converted that to booleans and integers. So the memory limit was a bit tight on this problem. So I hope you liked the video and my solution for this problem. So this concludes the 8th video of this dynamic programming problem solving series. In the next video, I'll be discussing a solution to an 1800 problem which uses multiple DP tables. If you like the video, do give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to my channel for more such content. Thank you.